Commander Velthar stared at the blue screen in his command center. The data made no sense. He read it again, hoping the numbers would change. They did not. The human colony ship New Horizon had been destroyed. His fleet had won the battle. But something was wrong. Something was always wrong when they fought humans. "Show me the final moments again," Velthar said to his aide. The screen filled with the battle recording. The human ship had fought well for 14 hours. Their weapons fired until the very end. Their shields held strong. Then at exactly 1547 Galactic Standard Time, all human communications stopped. No distress calls, no surrender messages, no final words to their families back on Earth. Just silence. Velthar's forearms moved across his control panel. He pulled up similar battle reports. The pattern was always the same. Humans would fight hard, then fall silent, then die. It should have made him happy. His people, the cetaceans, were winning these battles, but the silence bothered him. It bothered all of them. "Sir," his communication officer called out, "the Vorthak Empire wants to speak with you." Velthar accepted the call. Admiral Krex appeared on screen. The Vorthak looked worried, which was strange. The Vorthak were never worried. They were the strongest military force in the galaxy. "Commander Velthar," Krex said, "we need to talk about the humans." "What about them? We just destroyed one of their ships. That's the problem. Every time we fight them, we win." "But then," Krex paused. "Have you noticed the pattern?" Velthar had noticed. Everyone had noticed, but no one talked about it. "The silence," Velthar said quietly. "Yes, the terrible silence. And what happens after?" What happened after was simple. Any alien force that fought humans and won would disappear within 3 days. Not defeated, not destroyed. They would simply vanish. No wreckage, no survivors, no trace they had ever existed. It had happened to the Vorthak twice. Entire fleets gone. It had happened to the cetaceans 3 times. It had happened to every species that had ever fought humans, but the humans were just a small species. They had maybe 50 colonies spread across a tiny part of space. Their technology was average. Their ships were not the fastest or strongest. They should not have been dangerous. Yet here was Krex, the most feared admiral in Vorthak space, looking scared. "How many ships did you lose to make the New Horizon go silent?" Krex asked. "None," Velthar replied. "We didn't lose a single ship. The humans just stopped talking. Just like always. Just like always." Back on Earth, Admiral Kim Do-hyun sat in a deep underground bunker. The room was dark except for the soft blue glow of computer screens. Around him, dozens of human officers worked quietly at their stations. "Sir," Lieutenant Park Jin-woo said, "the New Horizon has sent the signal." Admiral Kim nodded. "Protocol 7 is now active?" "Yes, sir," Captain Lee Minju confirmed before communications ended. Admiral Kim looked at the big screen showing human, space. Red dots marked every human ship, station, and colony. As he watched, the dots began changing color, from red to blue. Blue meant silence. "How long until full activation?" he asked. 17 hours, sir. Every human settlement will be dark by then. Protocol 7, the most secret weapon in human space. The weapon that had saved humanity 12 times in the last 100 years. The weapon that turned human defeats into something much worse for their enemies. Admiral Kim remembered the first time they used it. He had been a young captain then, commanding a small patrol ship. The Klax Empire had attacked without warning. Hundreds of human ships were destroyed in the first day. It looked like humanity would be wiped out. Then someone had an idea. What if they stopped talking? It sounded crazy. In space, communication was everything. Ships needed to coordinate. Fleets needed orders. Colonies needed supplies. Cutting all communication would be like cutting off their own hands. But they tried it. Anyway, the effect on the Klax was immediate. The insect-like aliens became confused, they made mistakes, they started firing on each other. Within 6 hours, the Clax fleet had destroyed itself. No human had fired a shot in those final 6 hours. That's when they learned the truth. Most alien species were afraid of silence, not just worried or uncomfortable, truly, deeply afraid. The kind of fear that made them panic and make terrible decisions. Humans were different. Humans were comfortable with quiet. Their ancestors had been hunters who used silence to catch prey, while other species filled space with constant chatter and noise. Humans could go days without speaking and feel fine. "Sir," another officer called out, "the cetacean fleet is moving away from the New Horizons position." Admiral Kim smiled. "How fast?" "Maximum speed, sir. They're running." This always happened. The moment humans went silent, their enemies would panic and retreat. Sometimes they would even destroy their own ships by accident while trying to escape. The New Horizon had been carrying 50,000 human colonists to a new world. Captain Lee Minju had known her ship was outnumbered. She could have surrendered. She could have tried to negotiate. Instead, she had chosen Protocol 7. Now her ship was silent. Her people were silent. To the aliens, it looked like death. But the New Horizon was still moving, still fighting. The crew worked using hand signals and written notes. They had practiced this many times. Every human in space knew how to operate in complete silence. The aliens did not know this. They thought silence meant the humans were dead or defeated. They would celebrate their victory and return home. Then, within 3 days, something would find them. Admiral Kim looked at another screen. This one showed human ships throughout the galaxy. Special ships, secret ships, ships that moved without making any noise at all. "Status report on the Shadow Fleet," he ordered. Captain Ojisu's voice came through the speakers. She was commanding the stealth ship Silent Hunter. "All units in position, sir. Tracking the cetacean fleet. They will reach their home base in 36 hours. Rules of engagement? Standard Protocol 7 follow-up, sir. Total elimination. No survivors. No evidence." Admiral Kim felt a familiar sadness. He did not enjoy this part, but it was necessary. If even one alien survived to tell the truth about Protocol 7, the weapon would stop working. The galaxy had to believe that humans simply disappeared when defeated. They could not know that human defeats were actually the start of hunting operations. Dr. Park Ji-won worked in a small research station near Mars. She studied alien psychology, trying to understand why Protocol 7 worked so well. Her latest report was spread across her desk. She had studied over 200 alien species. The results were always the same. Most intelligent life in the galaxy had evolved from prey animals, small creatures that survived by staying in groups and making noise to warn each other of danger. When predators hunted them, the prey would fall silent just before being killed. Millions of years of evolution had taught these species that silence meant death was coming. Humans were different. They had evolved from predators, hunters who used silence as a tool. When humans went quiet, it meant they were hunting. Dr. Park looked at her notes. The fear of silence was built into alien brains at the deepest level. They could not control it. When humans stopped talking, every alien instinct screamed that a predator was nearby. The funny thing was that humans had not planned this. They had discovered Protocol 7 by accident during their first real war. Now it was their greatest advantage in a galaxy full of species that could not understand them. Her computer chimed softly. A message from Admiral Kim. Protocol 7 was active again. Another battle. Another group of aliens who would soon learn why humans were different. Dr. Park saved her research and turned off her lights. Outside her window, the stars looked peaceful. But she knew that somewhere out there, alien fleets were running in terror from the silence of defeated humans. In 3 days, those fleets would be gone forever, and the galaxy would continue to believe that every battle against humans ended the same way, in silence. But only humans knew what that silence really meant. Dr. Hana walked through the massive library of the Watcher homeworld. The ancient halls stretched far beyond what her eyes could see. Millions of years of galactic history were stored here. Every war, every peace treaty, every first contact between species. The Watchers never took sides in conflicts. They just watched and recorded. They were old beyond measure and claimed to have seen the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. If anyone knew the truth about humans, it would be them. "You seek knowledge of the Silent Ones," said Elder Corvash. The Watcher was so old that his skin looked like tree bark. His eyes glowed with a soft blue light. "The humans, yes," Dr. Hana replied. "I'm trying to understand the pattern of their battles." Elder Corvash led her deeper into the library. They passed countless shelves filled with data crystals. Each crystal contained the complete record of a galactic civilization. "We have watched the humans since they first left their birth world," Corvash said. "They are unusual." "How so?" "Most species make more noise as they become more advanced. Better communication, louder broadcasts, more complex social chatter. The humans did this too at first. But then they learned something that changed everything. They stopped at a viewing station. Corvash inserted a data crystal. The screen filled with images of an ancient battlefield. This was 847 years ago, the first recorded battle between humans and another species. The human ship was called Terra's Dream. It was exploring a system claimed by the Vorthak Empire. Dr. Hana watched the recording. The human ship was small and clearly not built for war. It faced 3 much larger Vorthak vessels. The battle seemed hopeless. "The humans fought well," Corvash continued. "Better than expected. But they were outnumbered. After 6 hours, their communication stopped completely. The Vorthak declared victory. What happened to the human ship? Destroyed. All hands lost. The Vorthak moved on to their next target." Dr. Hana frowned. This did not match the pattern she had heard about. "But I thought humans always disappeared their enemies after battles." Elder Corvash's ancient face showed something that might have been a smile. "Keep watching." The screen now showed the Vorthak fleet 3 days later. The massive ships moved through space in perfect formation. Over 1,200 vessels returning home from their successful raid. Then, without warning, the ships began exploding. Not from weapon fire. They simply came apart as if something was tearing them from the inside. In less than an hour, the entire fleet was gone. Nothing remained but scattered debris. "What caused that?" Dr. Hana asked. "No one knows. The Vorthak sent investigation teams. They found no evidence of weapons, no trace of attackers. The fleet had simply destroyed itself from within." Corvash loaded another crystal. Then another. Each one showed the same pattern. Humans would fight, fall silent, be defeated. Then their enemies would vanish within 3 days. "We have recorded 127 such incidents over the last 8 centuries, Corvash said. "Every species that has fought humans has experienced this phenomenon, some multiple times. But the humans are such a small species. How could they be responsible for all this? That is what every alien leader asks. The humans have perhaps 200 ships total. Their colonies are small and peaceful. Their technology is average. By all logic, they should not be a threat to anyone." Dr. Hana studied the recordings more carefully. Something bothered her about the way the human ships moved after going silent. They still followed tactical formations. Their weapons still fired, with precision. But there were no communication signals at all. How do they coordinate without talking? She wondered aloud. "We have theories," Corvash said. "But theories are all they are. The humans guard their secrets well." Meanwhile, on the human research station Prometheus, Dr. Park Jiwon was studying her latest test results. She had spent 5 years analyzing alien brain scans, trying to understand why Protocol 7 worked. "The neural pathways are identical across species," she explained to her research team. "When exposed to sudden silence after prolonged communication, every alien brain we've studied shows the same response." Lieutenant Kim Tae-ho looked at the brain scans on the main screen. "What kind of response?" "Terror. Pure, primal terror. The kind that overrides all higher thinking." Dr. Park highlighted different areas of the alien brain scans. "This region controls fear responses. This one handles social bonding. This one manages communication processing. When humans suddenly stop talking during combat, all three regions flood with stress chemicals. Why does this happen? Asked research assistant Lee Hyun. Evolution. Most galactic species evolved from prey animals, small social creatures that survived by staying in groups and constantly communicating. In nature, when these animals went silent, it usually meant a predator was about to kill them. She pulled up comparative scans. Look at this. A cetacean brain during normal communication shows healthy activity in all regions. But when exposed to combat silence, the fear center takes over everything else. Higher thinking shuts down. They become pure panic. Lieutenant Kim studied the data. So when we go silent, their brains think we're about to eat them? Essentially, yes. 50 million years of evolution tells them that silence equals death. They can't override this response because it's hardwired into their nervous systems. Dr. Park loaded another file. Now look at human brain scans during Protocol 7 operations. The human brain scans looked completely different. Where alien brain showed panic, human brain showed calm focus. The areas responsible for concentration and tactical thinking were more active than usual. Humans evolved differently, Dr. Park explained. Our ancestors were persistence hunters. We used silence as a hunting tool. When we go quiet, our brains enter what we call hunt mode. We become calmer, more focused, more deadly. Research assistant Lee raised her hand. But why don't other predator species react the same way? There aren't many other predator species in the galaxy. Most intelligent life evolved from prey animals because prey species had to be smarter to survive. Predators could rely on strength and speed. Only humans developed intelligence while remaining predators. Dr. Park brought up a galactic species chart. Red dots marked predator species. Blue dots marked prey species. The galaxy was almost entirely blue, with just a few scattered red dots. Out of over 3,000 known intelligent species, only 47 evolved from predators. Of those, only 12 developed space travel. Of those, only humans developed true silence as a weapon. The research team was quiet for a moment, absorbing this information. So we're literally the only species in the galaxy that uses silence the way we do? Kim asked. As far as we know, yes. Every other intelligent species treats constant communication as essential for survival. We're the only ones who can turn communication off and become more dangerous, not less. Back on the Watcher homeworld, Dr. Hana was reviewing more battle records with Elder Korvash. The pattern was always the same, but she was starting to notice small details that others had missed. The timing is always exactly the same, she observed. 3 days, never more, never less. Why 3 days? We have wondered this as well. Some believe it is how long it takes human reinforcements to arrive. Others think it is some kind of psychological warfare tactic. Dr. Hana studied the latest incident. The cetacean fleet that had destroyed the New Horizon was currently traveling back to their home base. According to the pattern, they would disappear in exactly 2 more days. Has anyone ever tried to track the cetacean fleet? To see what actually happens to them? Elder Korvash's ancient eyes grew dim. The hegemony tried that once 300 years ago. They sent a stealth ship to follow a fleet that had just defeated humans. What did they find? Nothing. The stealth ship vanished along with the fleet it was following. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation. Dr. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. She was beginning to understand that the human mystery was darker than anyone realized. Elder Korvash, in all your observations of humans, have you ever seen them behave cruelly? Violently when not defending themselves? The ancient watcher considered this carefully. No. In all other contexts, humans appear to be a peaceful, even compassionate species. They trade fairly, honor their agreements, and rarely start conflicts. But when threatened, he gestured to the recordings. It's as if they become completely different beings, Dr. Hana said. Yes, as if the silence awakens something ancient in them, something that remembers when they were hunters in a world of prey. Dr. Hana spent the rest of the day reviewing battle footage. She noticed something that made her heart race. In every recording, just before the humans went silent, There was a moment where their ship movements changed slightly. They became more coordinated, more precise, more predatory. It was subtle, but once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. The humans weren't just going quiet by accident or as a surrender. They were actively choosing silence as a weapon. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, alien fleets continued to vanish 3 days after making that weapon activate. Dr. Hana realized she might be the first non-human to understand what was really happening. The question was whether she should warn the galaxy, or keep the secret buried in the Watcher archives forever. Colonel Lee Hyunwoo stood in the command center of Space Station New Seoul. Around him, 50 officers worked at their stations in complete silence. Not one word was spoken. Not one sound was made except the soft hum of computers. This was the 7th Psychological Warfare Division, the most secret unit in human space, the people who had turned silence into humanity's greatest weapon. On the main screen, red dots showed alien fleets throughout the galaxy. Blue dots showed human ships. When a red dot moved toward a blue dot, Colonel Lee's team went to work. Target acquired, Lieutenant Park Jimin wrote on his tablet. He held it up for the colonel to see. Colonel Lee nodded. He pointed to another officer, Captain Yoon Sora. She began typing orders into her computer. Within minutes, every human ship in that sector would receive the same message. Prepare for Protocol 7 activation. The beauty of Protocol 7 was its simplicity. Most military tactics required complex coordination, perfect timing, and advanced technology. Protocol 7 just required humans to do what they did naturally: hunt. Colonel Lee remembered learning about it in military academy. The instructor, General Kim Min-soo, had explained it with a simple demonstration. Stand up, the general had ordered the class. Now make as much noise as you can. 200 cadets began shouting, laughing, talking, and clapping. The room filled with sound. Now, the general said quietly, and somehow every cadet heard him despite the noise. Be silent. Instantly, the room became quiet. The sudden change from noise to silence was shocking. How did that feel? General Kim asked. Unnatural, one cadet replied. Scary, said another. Good. Now imagine you are not human. Imagine your species evolved from small animals that were hunted by predators. Imagine that in your evolutionary history, when prey animals went silent, it meant death was seconds away. The general walked among the silent cadets. Protocol 7 works because we weaponize the moment when prey realizes the predator is hunting. We take that primal fear and use it to destroy enemy fleets without firing a shot. Now, 15 years later, Colonel Lee was watching it happen again. The cetacean fleet that had destroyed the New Horizon was showing signs of Protocol 7 stress. Their communications were becoming erratic. Their formation was breaking apart. Captain Cho Min-ho entered the command center. He handed Colonel Lee a written report. It contained updates from the Shadow Fleet, the secret human ships that followed alien forces after Protocol 7 battles. The Shadow Fleet was humanity's darkest secret, while the galaxy believed human defeats led to mysterious disappearances. The truth was simpler and more terrible. Humans didn't just disappear their enemies by accident, they hunted them down and killed them. Colonel Lee read the report. The stealth ship, Silent Hunter, was tracking the cetacean fleet. In 18 hours, when the aliens reached their home system, the Shadow Fleet would attack. Every cetacean ship would be destroyed. No survivors would be left to tell what really happened. This was the part Colonel Lee hated. The hunting. The killing of enemies who thought they had won. He remembered the first time he had participated in a Shadow Fleet operation. He was a young lieutenant on the stealth ship Dark Moon. They were following a Vorthak fleet that had just destroyed a human colony ship. The Vorthak were celebrating their victory. Their communications were full of joy and pride. They had no idea that human ships were following them through hyperspace, staying just outside sensor range. When the attack came, it was over in minutes. The Dark Moon and 12 other stealth ships appeared without warning. Their weapons were designed to leave no trace. Energy beams that looked like engine explosions. missiles that created debris patterns matching system failures. Within half an hour, the entire Vorthak fleet was destroyed. The scene was carefully arranged to look like accidents and equipment failures. No evidence of human weapons remained. That was 20 years ago. Colonel Lee had participated in 37 Shadow Fleet operations since then. Each time, he told himself it was necessary. If even one alien survived to report the truth about Protocol 7, the weapon would stop working. But the killing still bothered him. Humans were not naturally cruel. They were actually quite peaceful when left alone. But when threatened, something ancient awakened in them. Something that remembered a time when humans were the most dangerous hunters on their planet. On his desk was a report from Dr. Park Ji-won's research station. Her latest findings about alien psychology during Protocol 7 operations. The data was disturbing. According to Dr. Park, when alien fleets experienced Protocol 7, their crews often went insane. The sudden change from combat noise to predator silence triggered such intense fear that many aliens could not function. Ship commanders would give contradictory orders. Crews would abandon their stations. Some would even attack each other in their panic. The psychological damage was so severe that even if aliens survived Protocol 7, they were never the same. Most retired from military service immediately. Many required years of medical treatment. Some never recovered at all. Dr. Park called it predator shock syndrome, the galaxy's first documented case of an entire species using another species' evolutionary fears as a weapon. Colonel Lee's thoughts were interrupted by Lieutenant Park's raised hand. He was pointing to his screen. The Cetacean fleet had just made an emergency course change. Instead of returning home in formation, they were scattered across 3 different star systems. This always happened. As Protocol 7 stress built up in alien crews, their fleets would break apart. Commanders would lose confidence in their orders. Ships would split off to follow individual escape routes. The coordinated military force would become a collection of frightened animals running from an unseen predator. Colonel Lee wrote new orders for the Shadow Fleet. Instead of one coordinated attack, they would need to track down individual cetacean ships across multiple systems. It would take longer, but the result would be the same. No survivors. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory beneath the surface of Luna, Captain Ojisu was testing new variations of Protocol 7. Her job was to make the weapon more effective against different alien species. The Hegemony fleet is showing resistance to standard Protocol 7, she explained to her research team. Their fear response is weaker than other species. Dr. Lee Young-ho looked at the test data. What do you recommend? Enhanced silence. Instead of just cutting communication, we also stop all mechanical sounds. Engine noise, life support, even computer processing sounds. Complete auditory shutdown. Is that safe for human crews? Captain O smiled grimly. Humans can handle it. We've been practicing silence since we lived in caves. Other species can't. Complete silence drives them to complete madness. She showed them recordings from the latest test. A captured Hegemony ship had been exposed to enhanced Protocol 7 conditions. Within 2 hours, the crew had suffered complete psychological breakdown. They began destroying their own ship systems and attacking each other. The deeper the silence, the stronger the fear response, Captain O explained. We can calibrate it exactly to each species' psychology. Her team was developing Protocol 7 variants for every known alien species. Some responded to communication silence. Others needed mechanical silence. A few required complete sensory deprivation to trigger maximum fear response. The most extreme version was called Protocol 7 Total. It combined communication silence, mechanical shutdown, and electromagnetic dampening to create what aliens experienced as the complete absence of any sign of life. To enemy sensors, human ships would appear to have simply died, but the ships would still be hunting. Back on Space Station New Seoul, Colonel Lee received an urgent message from Admiral Kim Do-hyun. The Galactic Coalition was planning something big. Intelligence suggested they were gathering a massive fleet to attack human space directly. Colonel Lee felt a familiar chill. If the Coalition attacked human colonies, the response would not be limited to standard Protocol 7. The military had contingency plans for a full-scale alien invasion, plans that would turn the entire human species into hunters. He opened a secure file labeled Protocol 7 Omega. The plan was simple and terrifying. Every human settlement, ship, and station would go completely silent simultaneously. For the first time in galactic history, an entire species would activate predator mode at once. The psychological effect would be devastating. Every alien in the galaxy would feel it, even those not directly involved in combat. The sudden absence of human noise from the cosmic communication spectrum would trigger fear responses in species throughout known space. Colonel Lee had run simulations of Protocol 7 Omega. The results were always the same. Within 72 hours of activation, alien civilization would collapse into chaos. Governments would fall. Trade would stop. Most species would retreat to their home systems and refuse to come out. It would be the end of galactic civilization as they knew it, and it would give humans complete control of the galaxy, not through conquest but through the simple act of being quiet. He hoped it would never come to that, but if the coalition forced humanity's hand, they would learn what had taken Colonel Lee years to understand. Humans were not just another species that happened to be good at fighting. They were the galaxy's apex predators, and when apex predators went silent, everything else became prey. Fleet Admiral Zorthek stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship Unity of Stars. Around him stretched the largest military force in galactic history, 10,000 ships from 17 different species, the greatest armada ever assembled. His orders were simple: destroy the human threat forever. Status report, he commanded his aide. All fleets are in position, Admiral. The Vorthak 3rd Fleet holds the left flank. Cetacean forces control the right. Hegemony ships form the center with our heavy battleships. Admiral Zorthek looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed human positions throughout their small section of space. Blue dots showed coalition forces. The ratio was overwhelming. 10,000 alien ships against perhaps 200 human vessels. The humans cannot possibly win this battle, his tactical officer reported. Our projections show complete victory within 6 hours. But Admiral Zorthek was not comfortable. He had read the reports about human battles. He knew about the strange pattern of silence and disappearances. Every coalition leader knew about it. What do our psychologists say about human silence tactics? He asked. Dr. Vextal, the fleet's psychological warfare expert, stepped forward. We believe human silence is a surrender ritual. When they realize they cannot win, they shut down communications to show submission. Then they self-destruct to avoid capture. And the disappearances? Mass hallucinations caused by battle stress. Fleet commanders feel guilty about destroying such a peaceful species, so they create false memories of mysterious attacks. There is no evidence that anything actually hunts our fleets after human battles. Admiral Zorthek wanted to believe this. The alternative was too disturbing to consider. That a species with only 200 ships could somehow threaten the combined might of 17 galactic civilizations. Signal all fleets, he ordered. Begin the assault. On Earth, President Kang Sumi sat in the Emergency Defense Council bunker. The room was packed with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. Everyone knew this was humanity's greatest test. How long do we have? She asked Admiral Kim Do-yoon. The coalition fleet will reach our outer colonies in 18 hours, Sol system in 36 hours. General Yoon Seok-jin stood up. His expression was grim. Madam President, I recommend immediate activation of Protocol 7 Omega. The room went quiet. Protocol 7 Omega was theoretical. They had never tested it on such a scale. The plan called for every human in space to go silent simultaneously. Not just military forces, but civilians, merchants, researchers, everyone. What are the risks? President Kang asked. Dr. Park Ji-won answered from her research station on Mars via video link. We don't know. No species has ever attempted galaxy-wide psychological warfare. The effect on alien minds could be severe. How severe? Complete breakdown of alien civilization, mass panic, possible social collapse across hundreds of species. President Kang considered this. Outside, Earth continued its normal routine. People went to work, children played in parks, families ate dinner together. They had no idea that their government was about to turn their entire species into a weapon. If we do nothing, the coalition will destroy every human colony, General Yoon pointed out. 50 billion people will die. And if we activate Omega, we might save humanity by destroying everyone else's sanity. President Kang made the hardest decision in human history. Do it. Within minutes, coded messages went out to every human settlement. Colony administrators, ship captains, station commanders, even individual families received the same order. Prepare for Protocol 7 Omega. In 12 hours, the entire human species would go silent. The message reached Captain Lee Minju on the K colony ship Second Dawn. She was evacuating civilians from the outer colonies, trying to get them to safety before the coalition fleet arrived. When she read the Omega order, she understood. There would be no evacuation, no retreat, no surrender. Humanity was going to fight by not fighting. She called her senior staff together. In 12 hours, we go dark. Complete communications shut down. No radio, no digital signals, no emergency beacons. We operate on written orders and hand signals only. Captain, her first officer said, some of the civilians won't understand. They'll think we've abandoned them. Better they think that than have the coalition learn our secret. The message reached research stations, merchant ships, exploration vessels, and military outposts. Everywhere humans lived and worked, preparations began for the greatest coordinated silence in galactic history. Dr. Park Ji-won worked frantically to set up monitoring systems. If Protocol 7 Omega worked, she would need to record its effects for future study. If it failed, the records would help the next generation of humans understand what went wrong. Are you sure about this? Her assistant Lee Hae-eun asked. We're essentially weaponizing our entire species. The coalition made this choice when they decided to exterminate us, Dr. Park replied. We're just responding the way evolution taught us to respond. On Mars, in a secret facility that didn't officially exist, Colonel Lee Hyun-woo was coordinating the largest Shadow Fleet operation ever planned. Over 100 stealth ships were moving into position around the coalition armada. When Omega activated and the aliens fell into psychological chaos, the Shadow Fleet would be ready. Unlike previous operations, this one could not be disguised as accidents. 10,000 ships could not disappear without explanation. The galaxy would know that humans had destroyed the coalition fleet. But after Omega, the galaxy would be too terrified to retaliate. The countdown began. 12 hours until every human voice in the galaxy went silent. Admiral Zorthek's fleet was making good progress toward human space. His forces had destroyed 3 human outposts without casualties. The battles followed the same pattern reported in previous conflicts. Humans fought hard, then went silent. Then their ships were destroyed. See? Dr. Vextal said. Exactly as predicted. Human silence is just a surrender ritual. But Admiral Zorthek noticed something troubling. After each human outpost went silent, his fleet commanders began reporting strange feelings. Anxiety, unease, a sense that something was watching them. It's psychological contamination, Dr. Vextal explained. Human silence tactics are designed to make us uncomfortable. But it's just mind games. There's no real threat. Admiral Zorthek wanted to believe this, but his evolutionary instincts were screaming warnings. Every fiber of his being said that silence meant danger. 8 hours until Omega activation. President Kang Sumi made a final broadcast to Earth and the colonies. My fellow humans, in 8 hours, we will face the greatest test in our species' history. We will fight not with weapons or words, but with who we are, with the gift evolution gave us when it made us hunters in a world of prey. Trust in the silence. Trust in each other. Trust in what makes us human. 4 hours until Omega activation. Across human space, families gathered for what might be their last conversations. Children asked parents why they had to be quiet. Parents explained as best they could that sometimes the most powerful thing you could do was say nothing at all. 2 hours until Omega activation. Admiral Zorthek's fleet was experiencing increasing reports of anxiety and equipment malfunctions. Ships were having trouble maintaining formation. Communications were becoming sporadic and confused. "What's happening to my fleet?" he demanded. Dr. Vextal looked confused. "I don't know. The human bases we've attacked have all been destroyed. There's no active resistance, but the crews are behaving as if they're under attack. 1 hour until Omega activation." Captain Lee Minju gathered her crew for a final briefing. "In 1 hour, we become something that most species in this galaxy can't understand. We become silent hunters. Remember your training. Remember who you are. And remember that sometimes the most human thing you can do is become inhuman." 30 minutes until Omega activation. Dr. Park Jiwon watched her monitoring systems as human. Communications began to fade across the galaxy. Ships, stations, and colonies were testing their silence protocols. The effect was already visible on galactic communication networks. 10 minutes until Omega activation. Admiral Zorthek stood on his bridge, feeling increasingly uneasy. Something was wrong. His fleet was still advancing, still in formation, but something fundamental had changed. The galaxy felt different. 1 minute until Omega activation. President Kang Sumi sat in her bunker surrounded by silent advisors. In 60 seconds, her species would transform from galactic civilians into apex predators. 0. Across the galaxy, 50 billion humans stopped talking. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Every alien in the Coalition fleet felt it simultaneously. A silence so deep and complete that it seemed to have physical weight. The absence of human noise in the cosmic spectrum hit alien nervous systems like a physical blow. Admiral Zorthek collapsed to his knees as primal terror flooded his mind. Around him, his crew began screaming, not from pain but from the overwhelming certainty that death was hunting them. Throughout the galaxy, alien civilizations felt the silence and knew, with evolutionary certainty, that the predators had finally gone hunting. Protocol 7 Omega had begun. The Coalition fleet reached the edge of human space in complete chaos. Admiral Zorthek tried to maintain order on his bridge, but it was impossible. Half his crew was huddled in corners, trembling. The other half was making random, panicked reports. "Sir, sensors detect human ships approaching from Sector 7. No, sir, they're coming from Sector 12. All human ships have vanished from our screens. Human ships everywhere, they're surrounding us." Admiral Zorthek looked at his tactical display. It showed conflicting information. His sensors couldn't agree on where the human ships were or even how many there were. Some readings showed hundreds of human vessels. Others showed none at all. The truth was simpler. There were exactly 47 human ships defending their space. But to alien minds drowning in Protocol 7 Omega fear, those 47 ships seemed like an endless swarm of predators. "Dr. Vextal," Admiral Zorthek called. "What's happening to my fleet?" The psychological warfare expert was crouched behind his workstation. His normally confident demeanor was gone. "The silence, Admiral. It's in our heads. It's making us see things that aren't there." "What silence?" "The humans are destroyed. There's nothing to hear anyway." "That's just it. The humans aren't making any noise at all. No radio chatter, no engine signatures, no computer signals, nothing. It's like they've all died at exactly the same moment." Admiral Zorthek felt ice in his veins. "What does that mean?" "It means they're hunting us." Lieutenant Commander Ojisu commanded the human defense station orbiting Neptune. Her orders were simple. Engage the enemy without breaking Protocol 7 Omega. No radio communications, no digital transmissions, no sounds at all. Her crew of 200 worked in perfect silence. They communicated through hand signals and written notes. They had practiced this scenario hundreds of times. Every human in space knew how to operate in complete quiet. The alien fleet approaching Neptune looked massive on her screens. Over 10,000 ships in a formation that stretched across several million kilometers. It should have been terrifying. Instead, Lieutenant Commander O felt calm, focused. Her evolutionary programming had kicked in. She was no longer a defensive officer trying to protect a space station. She was a hunter preparing an ambush. Her tactical display showed the approaching alien ships in detail. Their formations were breaking apart. Ships were changing course randomly. Some were firing weapons at empty space. Others had stopped moving entirely. This always happened when aliens experienced true Protocol 7 conditions. Their fear responses overwhelmed their training. Military discipline collapsed. They became frightened animals instead of organized. Soldiers. O wrote orders on a tablet and held it up for her bridge crew to see. Target the command ships first. Make it look like system failures. Her weapons officer nodded and began programming the station's missile systems. The weapons would fire in complete electromagnetic silence. To alien sensors, they would look like debris or equipment malfunctions. The first missiles launched without a sound. They struck 3 coalition command vessels within seconds of each other. The explosions were carefully designed to look like power core failures, not weapon impacts. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate. Already terrified by the human silence, the loss of command ships triggered complete panic. Ships began firing at each other. Formations collapsed entirely. The organized military force became a mob of frightened creatures shooting at shadows. On Earth, Dr. Park Ji-won monitored the psychological effects of Protocol 7 Omega from her research bunker. Her instruments were recording alien brain activity across multiple species. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen. The fear response is off the scale, she reported to Admiral Kim Do-yoon. Alien stress hormones are at levels that should be physically impossible. What does that mean for their ability to function? Most of them can't. Higher thinking has shut down completely. They're operating on pure instinct. Flight or fight responses with no rational control. Admiral Kim watched the battle reports coming in from around human space. Everywhere the coalition fleet encountered human defenders, the same thing was happening. Alien ships were destroying themselves through panic, friendly fire, and equipment failures caused by terrified crews. How long can we maintain Omega conditions? He asked. Indefinitely from a technical standpoint. But there will be psychological costs to our own people. Humans aren't meant to be completely silent for extended periods. We're social creatures too. Admiral Kim understood. Already reports were coming in of civilian populations showing stress from the enforced silence. Children were crying. Adults were becoming depressed and anxious. The weapon that was destroying alien morale was also hurting human communities, but it was working. For the first time in galactic history, a smaller force was defeating a larger one through pure psychological warfare. In the hegemony sector, Sub-Commander Thexnal tried to rally his squadron. His ships had been tasked with attacking the human research colony on Kepler 438b. It should have been a simple operation. The colony had no military defenses, but when his fleet arrived, they found something impossible. The entire planet was silent. No communication signals, no life signs, no energy readings at all. It was as if the 50,000 humans living there had simply vanished. Sir, his sensor operator reported, I'm detecting no signs of life on the surface. Scan deeper. Use full active sensors. I am, sir. The colony infrastructure is there, but there are no humans. No heat signatures, no biological readings, nothing. Sub-Commander. Thexnal felt his species' ancient fears awakening. In hegemony evolution, when prey went completely silent and motionless, it meant apex predators were nearby. His nervous system flooded with stress chemicals. Sir, should we land troops to investigate? No, Thexnal said quickly. We maintain distance. Something is wrong here. What he didn't know was that the humans were still there. All 50,000 of them. They were hiding in underground shelters, maintaining complete silence. No electronic devices, no machinery, no sounds at all. To alien sensors, they appeared to have vanished. But they were watching and waiting. The human colony's defense plan was simple. When alien ships entered orbit, automated systems would activate. Systems that had been programmed to operate without any human input or communication. Deep beneath the colony, those systems were already working. Mining robots modified for combat were moving through underground tunnels. Surface installations, were preparing to deploy weapons that would look like natural geological events. The aliens in orbit had no idea that the dead planet below them was actually a trap. Admiral Zorthek's flagship was one of the few coalition vessels still maintaining any kind of formation. Most of his fleet had scattered across the system, chasing phantom human ships or firing at imaginary threats. "Status report," he demanded of his remaining officers. "We've lost contact with 60% of the fleet, sir. Many ships report engine failures, weapons malfunctions, and crew psychological breakdowns." "What about human casualties?" "Unknown, sir. We can't detect any human ships clearly enough to confirm kills." Admiral Zorthek stared at his tactical display. According to his sensors, there were human ships everywhere and nowhere at the same time. His instruments showed conflicting data. Some readings indicated hundreds of human vessels. Others showed empty space. The terrifying truth was becoming clear. His fleet was destroying itself while chasing ghosts. "Dr. Vextal," he called. "Can you explain what's happening?" The psychological warfare expert was barely functional. His hands shook as he tried to operate his equipment. "Admiral, I think we underestimated human capabilities. This isn't just communication silence. They've achieved something we thought was impossible. Which is, they've made their entire species disappear from our senses while remaining completely active. We can't see them, hear them, or detect them. But they're still there, still fighting, still hunting us." Admiral Zorthek felt his command authority cracking. Around him, his crew was succumbing to the same primal terror that was affecting the entire coalition fleet. "Sir," his navigation officer reported, "I'm detecting massive gravitational anomalies throughout the system." "What kind of anomalies?" "Unknown, sir. They appeared suddenly and they're moving. Whatever is causing them is larger than our biggest battleships." What the navigation officer was detecting was the Shadow Fleet. Over 100 human stealth ships had moved into position around the coalition armada. Their cloaking systems were designed to create exactly this kind of sensor confusion. 2. Terrified alien minds. The gravitational readings looked like massive predators moving through space. The coalition fleet was surrounded by invisible hunters that their instruments could barely detect. Captain Cho Minho commanded the stealth ship Silent Death. His orders were part of the largest Shadow Fleet operation in human history. Unlike previous missions, this one could not be disguised as an accident. 10,000 alien ships could not disappear without explanation. But that didn't matter anymore. Protocol 7 Omega had changed the rules. After today, every species in the galaxy would know that humans were apex predators. The age of pretending to be harmless was over. Target lock acquired. His weapons officer wrote on a tablet. Captain Cho nodded. Around him, 99 other stealth ships were preparing to fire simultaneously. The coalition fleet was so scattered and panicked that they wouldn't be able to 6 months after the Battle of Sol. The galaxy was a very different place. The Galactic Coalition no longer existed. Most alien species had retreated to their home systems and refused to venture into open space. Those that did travel used special permits issued by the new Terran Authority. Admiral Kim Do-hyun sat in his new office on the space station Unity. The station had been built at the exact spot where Admiral Zorthek's flagship was destroyed. It served as both a symbol of human victory and a reminder to the galaxy of what happened when humanity was threatened. "Status report on the integration programs," he asked his aide, Lieutenant Commander Park Jinwoo. 17 species have requested formal alliance with the Terran Authority. 23 others have applied for protected status. Only 4 species remain completely isolated. Admiral Kim looked out the observation window at the steady stream of alien ships passing through the checkpoint. Each ship was inspected by human customs officers. Each crew was required to maintain constant communication with human traffic controllers. The new rule was simple. No alien vessel could travel through space without talking to humans. The galaxy had learned to fear human silence so completely that they needed constant reassurance that humans were still listening. It was a complete reversal of the old order. Before Protocol 7 Omega, aliens had treated humans as a minor species to be ignored or eliminated. Now they begged for human attention and protection. Any problems with the new protocols? Admiral Kim asked. Some species are having trouble adjusting to the mandatory communication requirements. The Vorthak, in particular, find it exhausting to maintain constant radio chatter during long space flights. Good. Let them be exhausted. It's better than letting them think we've gone hunting. Dr. Park Ji-won had moved her research operation to a new facility on Luna. Her job now was to help alien species recover from the psychological trauma of Protocol 7 Omega. It was difficult work. Many aliens had been so damaged by the experience that they could never function normally again. The Cetacean delegation is here, her assistant Lee Haeun announced. Dr. Park looked up from her notes. Commander, Velthar entered her office accompanied by 2 other Cetacean officers. They looked nervous and kept glancing around as if expecting threats. Commander Velthar, Dr. Park said in a calm, steady voice. Please sit down. How are you adjusting to the new treaty terms? Well, Dr. Park. Very well. The Cetacean Empire is grateful for human protection. His voice had the forced cheerfulness that many aliens now used when speaking to humans. Dr. Park understood. The psychological damage from Omega was so severe that most aliens could no longer function without constant reassurance that humans were not hunting them. They needed to hear human voices regularly or they would panic. How are your people doing with the silence exercises? Commander Velthar shifted uncomfortably. They are challenging. Many of our citizens cannot tolerate more than a few minutes of quiet without becoming distressed. This was part of the rehabilitation program. Aliens had to learn to function in silence so they could work alongside humans without constant panic. It was slow progress but necessary. We'll continue the therapy sessions, Dr. Park said. In time, your people will be able to handle brief periods of quiet without fear. She didn't mention that complete recovery was impossible. The evolutionary programming that made Protocol 7 so effective could not be erased. Aliens would always fear human silence. That fear was now the foundation of galactic peace. On Earth, President Kang Sumi was meeting with representatives from the former coalition species. The meeting room was designed to make aliens feel comfortable. Soft lighting, constant background music, and multiple screens showing peaceful images of human daily life. The trade agreements are progressing well, she told the assembled delegates. Human merchants are establishing routes to all your home systems. In return, we ask only for continued cooperation and open communication. The alien delegates nodded eagerly. They desperately wanted human trade and protection. After Omega, most alien economies had collapsed. Only humans had the confidence to travel freely through space anymore. Madam President, asked Ambassador Crix of the Hegemony, will humans consider establishing permanent bases in our systems? That can be arranged. Human presence would certainly help maintain local stability. What she didn't say was that these bases would also serve as monitoring stations. Humans needed to keep watch on alien populations to ensure they never again organized against humanity. The galaxy would remain peaceful as long as humans maintained their role as apex predators. In a small apartment on Mars, young Kim Dami was writing her school assignment about the silent wars. She was part of the first generation of humans to grow up after Omega. To her, the idea that aliens had once threatened humanity seemed almost absurd. Before the wars, she wrote, aliens thought humans were weak because we were small and peaceful. They didn't understand that we were only peaceful by choice. When they forced us to stop being peaceful, they learned that humans are the best, hunters in the galaxy. Her teacher, Ms. Lee Sora, read the essay with mixed feelings. The children born after Omega would never know a galaxy where humans were not the dominant species. They would grow up believing that human superiority was natural and inevitable. Perhaps that was for the best. The galaxy was certainly safer now. But Ms. Lee sometimes wondered what humanity had lost when it embraced its role as galactic predators. On the edge of human space, Captain Oh Jisoo commanded the patrol ship New Dawn. Her mission was to monitor the border regions and watch for any signs of alien military buildup. It was routine work now. Most alien species were too terrified to even think about challenging human authority. Captain, her communications officer reported. We're receiving a distress call from a Vorthak merchant vessel. Put it through. The Vorthak captain appeared on screen. He looked panicked, which was normal for aliens traveling alone in deep space. Human vessel, this is Captain Thex of the merchant ship Peaceful Trade. We are experiencing engine problems and request assistance. Captain O studied the readings. The Vorthak ship's engines were fine. This was a psychological emergency, not a mechanical one. The alien crew had been alone in space too long without hearing human voices. They were beginning to panic. Captain Thex, this is Captain O of the New Dawn. We are here to help. Please maintain constant communication with us while we approach your position. Thank you so much. It's been 6 hours since we last spoke to a human ship. My crew was becoming concerned. Captain O understood. 6 hours of silence was long enough for alien minds to start imagining that humans had gone hunting again. The Vorthak crew needed reassurance that humans were still listening, still peaceful, still protecting, rather than hunting. We'll escort you to your destination, she promised, and we'll keep talking the whole way. She could hear the relief in the alien captain's voice. This was the new normal. Humans had become the galaxy's shepherds, constantly watching over flocks of frightened alien species. Back on Unity Station, Admiral Kim received a report from the Deep Space Monitoring Network. The 4 species that had refused all contact with humanity were showing signs of internal collapse. Without human trade, protection, or communication, they were struggling to maintain their civilizations. Should we offer assistance? Lieutenant Commander Park asked. Not yet. Let them come to us. They need to understand that isolation from humanity means isolation from galactic civilization. Admiral Kim walked to the observation deck and looked out at the busy space lanes. Hundreds of alien ships move through human-controlled space every day, all of them following human traffic control, all of them maintaining constant communication with human operators. It was a beautiful sight in its way. The galaxy was more peaceful now than it had ever been. Trade flowed freely. Wars between alien species had virtually ended. Crime rates were at historic lows, all because every alien in the galaxy lived with the knowledge that if they misbehaved, the humans might stop talking to them. Dr. Hana had returned to the Watcher homeworld to update the historical records. Elder, Korvash listened to her report with his ancient, glowing eyes. So the humans achieved galactic dominance not through conquest, but through the threat of silence, he said. Yes, they weaponized the thing that all prey species fear most, the moment when the predator stops making noise. And now? Now they maintain peace by never stopping. Human voices fill the galaxy. Every alien settlement receives regular communication from human stations. The constant chatter keeps everyone calm and cooperative. Elder Korvash was quiet for a long moment. In 50,000 years of galactic history, we have never seen anything like this. A species that conquered through the promise of silence, then maintained control through the gift of sound. The humans call it the new peace, Dr. Hana said. They've created a galaxy where everyone feels safe because they never stop hearing human voices. And if those voices ever stopped, then the galaxy would remember what human silence really means, and civilization would collapse within hours. Elder Korvash updated the Watcher records with this new chapter of galactic history. The age of human expansion had begun not through war or diplomacy, but through tea.